Hi guys, Happy New Year. It's 2019 and I thought I'd get a wee video out to accompany some of the nutritional information that that I'm going to be sending out to the new starts. So I thought I'd do a wee video because I've not done one in a while, and also because I'm quite tired a lot of the time, such as now, hence why I look tired. But that's just I can't. I don't think I can not make videos because I'm tired. Because let's face it, when you get kids, it's always going to be like that, isn't it? So I thought it'd be good to do a video on nutrition because sometimes when things are written down, it can sometimes be easy to take things out of context from what they're written down on, or to misunderstand some of the points. So one of the mistakes that I think new guys will benefit from, that I've seen non-new guys or returners make in the past when it comes to things like protein intake, is that people sometimes maybe do focus on the protein intake more than because we ask them to, but perhaps see that as the sort of the excelsior of success, as if I just need to eat more protein and I'm be doing fine and I'm going to succeed. So for example, quite often some people who are struggling will come to me and say, I don't understand why I'm struggling. I am eating a good amount of protein and I'm still not like losing body fat, or I feel like I've not made any progress on that front, and I don't really get it because I'm eating a high protein diet. So it's important to remember that eating a high protein diet doesn't mean that you're going to be guaranteed success. For a start, it depends on what you're eating out with your meals. So one of the biggest problems I find that people have with long-term sort of fat loss is not actually their meals that are the problem, but it's what they eat in between the meals. So you may well be eating a high protein diet, but you may also on top of that be eating other things. So what we do know is that protein consumption, or increased protein consumption helps you be fuller. You'll be less likely to overeat, but the key term there is it means you're less likely to overeat. It doesn't mean that you won't. So that's the first thing to consider. So even if you are consuming a decent amount of protein, you might still be eating more than you need to, and a lot of the time I think you might be eating more in between meals than you realise, and that is one of the examples of where something like tracking calories can come in handy. As you know, long term, I don't think it's a sustainable, successful approach, but without question, it can be a really useful point to get to, or a useful method to figure out where things are going wrong. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is, it's really important to remember, and this is a bit of a paradox, I think, is that some people that are trying to lose weight, for example, might say to me, oh, but I want to lose weight, so I better not eat too much protein. So what you need to know is that, ironically, a higher protein intake is more important for people who are trying to lose body fat than for those that are trying to build muscle. Okay, so I'll just repeat that. So if your goal is to build muscle, a higher protein diet is useful, but it's not as important as it is if your goal is to lose body fat. Okay, so you need less protein to build muscle, or it's less of a priority than it is when you're trying to lose body fat. And we know this from several studies that have been done just in the last couple of years. So in other words, if you're trying to lose body fat, then you really need to make sure that you have a decent protein intake, because it will do two things. It will be more likely to keep you satisfied hunger-wise, so that you'll be less likely to then cave to your eating regime, or the eating regime of overeating on sugar and other things, whatever. But secondly, when you're losing weight, a certain proportion of the weight you lose will be muscle tissue, which is undesirable. And one of two things will determine how much of the weight you lose is muscle tissue. Firstly, will be your protein intake. Okay, so if you're eating or not eating an adequate amount of protein, a higher proportion of the weight you're going to be losing will be muscle, as opposed to body fat. Okay, so that's why higher protein intake is important for fat loss. And the second thing that will determine how much of the weight you lose is fat loss is your exercise selection. So if in other words, resistance training coupled with a high protein diet is the best approach for fat loss alone, as opposed to weight loss. and remember that's the difference. So weight loss is overall body weight loss, which will be a combination of muscle and fat mass, which is not really what you want. If possible, you want to minimise how much muscle you lose. Okay, so whereby if you're trying to build muscle, then yeah, protein is important, but that's when carbohydrates probably become more important in a lot of ways, because they're growth promoting. So these wee things to consider, and that's probably one of the main oversights that people don't recognise, is that actually people might associate protein with muscle building, but actually it's probably more important from a muscle sparing point of view. Okay, so I just wanted to get that out there in the open. I'm just going to pause the video while I decide what to talk about next.